The river roared that spring afternoon, swollen from 3 days of relentless rain that had flooded the banks and turned the normally peaceful waterway into a churning monster. Warren Wilson stood at the edge of the playground, his weathered hands gripping the rusty chain-link fence as he watched his 7-year-old daughter, Mia, swinging with abandon, her laughter a bright counterpoint to the growling water beyond. "Daddy, look how high." Mia called out, her small legs pumping furiously to gain altitude. Warren smiled despite the exhaustion that clung to him like a second skin. 3 jobs, warehouse work during the day, evening shifts as a security guard, and weekend handyman gigs barely kept them afloat, but Mia's smile made it all worthwhile. "I see you, sweetheart. 10 more minutes, then we need to head home for dinner," he called back, checking his watch. The playground sat above the river, usually a scenic spot for families, but today the water had risen alarmingly close to the lower pathway. That's when he noticed the woman. She was standing at the river's edge, her elegant cream-colored coat billowing in the wind. Something about her posture made Warren uneasy. She was too close to the unstable bank, staring into the rushing water with a strange intensity. "Hey," he called out, but his voice was lost in the roar of the river and the squealing of children. He turned to Mia. "Stay right here on the swings, honey. Don't move, I'll be right back." Warren jogged toward the riverbank, his worn work boots slipping on the mud. The woman still hadn't moved, and as he got closer, he could see she was clutching something in her hands, a photograph, whipping in the wind. "Madam," he called, now only 20 yards away. "You need to step back from there." She turned then, and even through her tear-streaked face, Warren was struck by her beauty-dark blonde hair falling around high cheekbones and startlingly blue eyes that held a world of pain. Before he could reach her, the sodden earth beneath her feet gave way. One moment she was standing there, the next she was gone with a terrified scream, swept instantly into the churning current. Warren didn't hesitate. "Someone call 911. He shouted to a nearby couple, and then he was running, calculating angles, watching her blonde head bob in the violent water. He sprinted downstream, tearing off his jacket as he ran. At a bend where the river narrowed, Warren plunged in. The cold knocked the breath from his lungs, but adrenaline pushed him forward. The current was stronger than he'd anticipated, immediately sweeping him toward the thrashing woman. He managed to reach her as she struggled against the pull of the water, her elegant coat now a sodden weight dragging her down. "I've got you," he gasped, wrapping a strong arm around her chest from behind. "Stop fighting me, I've got you." She stopped thrashing, and Warren began the arduous task of swimming diagonally toward shore, fighting the current that wanted to dash them against the rocks downstream. His muscles screamed, his lungs burned, but he pushed on, inch by brutal inch, until his feet finally scraped bottom. He half carried, half dragged her up onto the muddy bank where they both collapsed, coughing and gasping. "Daddy, Daddy!" Mia's panicked voice cut through his exhaustion. She was running down the slope toward them, her face white with fear. "Stay back, Mia," he called, his voice hoarse. "The bank's not safe." The woman beside him had rolled onto her side, vomiting river water. When she finished, she looked up at him with those blue eyes, now red-rimmed and bewildered. "You saved me," she whispered. "Are you okay?" He asked, pushing himself to his knees, suddenly acutely aware of his soaked, muddy clothes and how out of place he must look next to this woman, who even drenched and bedraggled radiated a kind of refined elegance. "Yes," she said, though something in her voice suggested otherwise. In the distance, sirens wailed. Warren stood and carefully helped the woman to her feet. Her legs buckled and he caught her, his arm around her waist. "My name is Warren," he said. "Warren Wilson." "Lily," she replied, her voice still shaking. "Lily Calloway." By then, emergency vehicles had arrived, and paramedics rushed down to the riverbank. As they wrapped Lily in a thermal blanket, Warren stepped away, retrieving Mia, who was hovering anxiously nearby. "You jumped in the river," Mia said, her eyes huge. "Like a superhero." Warren knelt down, pulling his daughter close despite his wet clothes. I'm sorry if I scared you, sweetheart. The lady was drowning, Mia stated matter-of-factly. You had to save her. A paramedic approached them. Sir, we need to check you out too. Warren nodded, standing with Mia's hand firmly in his. As they walked toward the ambulance, he glanced back. Lily Calloway was watching him with an unreadable expression, a phone already at her ear. Their eyes locked for a brief moment before she turned away, speaking quietly into the phone. That would have been the end of it, a random act of heroism. A life saved, strangers passing in the night if not for what happened 3 days later. Warren had just returned home from his warehouse job, bone-tired and dreading the security shift that would start in 2 hours. The small 2-bedroom apartment he shared with Mia was in a shabby but clean complex on the outskirts of town. He had just enough time to make Mia dinner before Mrs. Gonzalez from next door would come over to watch her. He was stirring pasta when the doorbell rang. I'll get it. Mia called, already racing to the door. Mia, wait, Warren said sharply. Check who it is first. Through the peephole, Warren saw a woman in a tailored navy suit, not Lily Calloway, but someone who exuded the same aura of wealth and confidence. Can I help you? He asked cautiously as he opened the door. Mr. Wilson? My name is Rebecca Hayes. I represent Miss Lily Calloway. She held out a business card that confirmed she was from a prestigious law firm. May I come in? I have a matter to discuss with you. Warren hesitated, glancing back at Mia, who was watching with curious eyes. I have to leave for work soon. This won't take long, Rebecca assured him, and it could be very much worth your time. Warren reluctantly showed her in, acutely aware of the worn furniture, the water stain on the ceiling, and the general shabbiness of their home compared to the woman's immaculate appearance. Mia, honey, can you go play in your room for a bit? Mia looked like she wanted to protest, but nodded and disappeared down the hall. Miss Calloway wanted to personally thank you for saving her life, Rebecca began, taking a seat at the small kitchen table. She was hoping to do so in person, but business called her away unexpectedly. Warren nodded, turning off the stove. I'm glad she's okay. It was a dangerous situation. Indeed, Rebecca agreed, which is why Miss Calloway would like to show her gratitude in a tangible way. She opened her briefcase and withdrew a check. She would like to offer you this as a token of her appreciation. Warren stared at the check, momentarily stunned by the number of zeros. $50,000, he finally managed. I can't accept that. Rebecca's professionally neutral expression cracked slightly with surprise. Mr. Wilson, you risked your life to save Miss Calloway. She feels this is entirely appropriate. Warren ran a hand through his hair. I didn't do it for money. Anyone would have done the same. But they didn't. You did. Rebecca slid the check across the table. Miss Calloway is in a position to offer this gesture, and she very much wants you to have it. Think of your daughter. Warren did think of Mia, of the opportunities this money could provide, the breathing room it would give them. No more choosing between paying the electric bill or buying new shoes for his growing girl. He could maybe even cut back on one of his jobs, spend more time with her. Thank her for me, he finally said, carefully folding the check and putting it in his wallet. This is very generous. Rebecca smiled, rising to leave. Miss Calloway also asked me to give you this. She handed him an envelope. She said it's personal. After showing Rebecca out, Warren opened the envelope with slightly trembling hands. Inside was a handwritten note. Warren, thank you isn't enough for what you did, but it's where I'll start. Thank you. You didn't just save my life, you reminded me that it was worth saving. The check is truly the smallest token of my gratitude. Please use it well for you and your beautiful daughter. Sincerely, Lily. There was a phone number at the bottom. That night, after his security shift, Warren sat on his bed staring at the note for a long time before finally picking up his phone. Lily Calloway answered on the second ring. Hello, it's Warren Wilson, he said, suddenly unsure why he'd called. I got your note and the check. There was a pause. I'm glad, are you? Is it enough? I wasn't sure. Warren gave a startled laugh. Enough, Miss Calloway, it's more money than I've seen in one place in my entire life. Please call me Lily, she said, and he could hear a smile in her voice. And I meant what I wrote. You saved more than you know. Warren's throat tightened. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why were you at the river that day? The silence stretched so long that Warren thought he might have crossed a line, but finally, Lily spoke, her voice so soft he had to strain to hear it. It was the anniversary of my brother's death, she said. 3 years ago, he drowned in that same river. I go there every year too. I don't know, remember him, talk to him. It sounds ridiculous now. It doesn't sound ridiculous at all, Warren said gently. I wasn't planning to jump, Lily clarified quickly. But I was distracted, not paying attention to how close to the edge I was standing, how unstable the bank had become with the rain. And then the ground gave way, Warren finished. Yes, another pause. Would you and Mia like to have dinner sometime? As another thank you. I'd like to meet her properly. She seemed like a remarkable little girl from the glimpse I got. Warren hesitated. The gap between their worlds seemed unbridgeable. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Why not? Because you're obviously, and I'm just... He struggled to find the right words. We come from different worlds, Lily. All the more reason, she replied. Please, just dinner. I promise not to overwhelm Mia with my enormous mansion and fleet of private jets. The teasing tone in her voice made him smile despite himself. Okay, he conceded. Dinner. But somewhere simple, please, for Mia's sake. I know just the place, Lily said. This weekend. That Saturday, Warren found himself sitting across from Lily Calloway at a cheerful, family-friendly pizza parlor, watching in amazement as she and Mia bonded over their mutual love of extra cheese and pepperoni. And then Daddy jumped in like whoosh. Mia was saying, dramatically reenacting the river rescue with her hands. And he swam super fast like a dolphin to save you, Lily laughed, her eyes crinkling at the corners. He was very brave, wasn't he? Warren felt his face heat up. Any decent person would have done the same. That's what heroes always say, Lily replied, her eyes meeting his, and something in her gaze made his heart beat faster. As the evening progressed, Warren was surprised at how easy it was to talk to Lily. Despite her obvious wealth evidenced by the subtle but unmistakable quality of her clothes and the sleek car she'd arrived in, she was refreshingly down to earth. She laughed easily and listened intently, asking Mia questions about school and her friends with genuine interest. So what exactly do you do? Warren finally asked as Mia occupied herself with the restaurant's small arcade. I run a tech company, Lily said. We develop software for environmental monitoring systems. That sounds important, Warren said, feeling out of his depth. It's interesting work, she acknowledged, but lately I've been wondering if it's enough. Enough purpose. She twisted her napkin, a flash of vulnerability crossing her face. After my brother died, I threw myself into the company. It was all I had. My parents were gone, no other siblings. Work became everything. But lately... She trailed off, glancing toward Mia. Lately, I've been wondering if there should be more to life. Warren understood that feeling all too well. Since his wife Maria had died from cancer 3 years ago, he'd existed in survival mode, working endlessly, focusing on Mia, never allowing himself to think beyond the next bill the next day. It's hard to find balance, he offered. Yes, Lily agreed, especially alone. Their eyes met again, and this time Warren didn't look away. After dinner, they walked Lily to her car. Mia, comfortable now with this new friend, gave her an impulsive hug before Warren could stop her. Will we see you again? Mia asked, looking up with hopeful eyes. Lily glanced at Warren, the question clear in her expression. I'd like that, Warren said softly. Their relationship developed slowly over the following weeks. Lily joined them for picnics in the park, movie nights at their apartment, and a trip to the zoo. Warren gradually learned more about her life, how she'd built her company from scratch after college, using an inheritance from her parents as seed money. how she'd expanded it into a multi-million-dollar enterprise that now employed over 300 people, how lonely success could be. Warren, in turn, shared his own story, his blue-collar upbringing, meeting Maria in high school, their dreams cut short by her illness, and his struggle to be both mother and father to Mia while keeping them financially afloat. One evening, after Mia had gone to bed, Lily asked him about the check. "Have you used it?" Warren nodded. "I paid off our debt's first medical bills from Maria's treatment that I've been chipping away at for years. Then I set up a college fund for Mia." He smiled wryly. "I also quit the security job. Now I just work at the warehouse, plus some weekend handyman work when I need it. It means I'm home for dinner with Mia every night." Lily's eyes softened. "That's perfect." "I've been meaning to ask you something," Warren said hesitantly. "That day at the river, you were holding a photograph." "Was it your brother?" Lily nodded, her expression growing distant. "Michael was 4 years younger than me. He was brilliant, funny, a real free spirit. The day he drowned, we'd had an argument. He wanted to borrow money for a startup idea, but I thought it was too risky. I told him to get a real job first, prove he could be responsible." She swallowed hard. He stormed out, went hiking along the river to clear his head. There was a flash flood. Warren reached across and took her hand. "It wasn't your fault." "Logically, I know that," Lily said. "But the guilt. It's been a weight I've carried for 3 years. That's part of why I go to the river on the anniversary, to apologize." "And the day I found you, were you apologizing again?" Lily nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "And then I fell in. For a moment, I thought it was some cosmic justice that I deserved to drown in the same river that took him." She squeezed Warren's hand. "But then you pulled me out, and holding on to you, fighting our way to shore, it felt like being given a second chance." Warren raised her hand to his lips and gently kissed her knuckles. "I'm glad I was there." Their first kiss happened a week later, after Lily had helped Mia with a science project. They stood in the kitchen washing dishes side by side, shoulders touching, when Warren turned to her with soap-covered hands. "I'm falling in love with you," he said simply, the words escaping before he could stop them. Lily's eyes widened, but instead of stepping back, she stepped closer. "I think I started falling the moment you pulled me from that river." He kissed her then, his soapy hands leaving bubbles in her hair, both of them laughing and kissing until they were interrupted by Mia's delighted giggle from the doorway. "Does this mean Lily's going to be my new mom?" She asked bluntly. Warren froze, but Lily knelt down to Mia's level. "Your mom will always be your mom, Mia," she said gently. "No one can ever replace her, but I care about you and your dad very much, and I'd like to be a part of your family, if that's okay with you." Mia considered this with the seriousness only a 7-year-old could muster, then nodded. "That's okay. Dad smiles more when you're here." 3 months after they met, Lily invited Warren and Mia to see her home for the first time. Warren had been avoiding this, afraid the reality of Lily's wealth would create a distance between them. But Mia's excitement at the prospect couldn't be denied. Lily's house was indeed impressive, a modern glass and stone structure overlooking the city, but it was less ostentatious than Warren had feared. What struck him most was how impersonal it felt, like a beautiful hotel rather than a home. "It's pretty," Mia declared as Lily showed them around, "but it doesn't have any kid stuff." Lily laughed. "You're right. Maybe you could help me fix that." Later, when Mia was engrossed in a movie in Lily's home theater, Warren found Lily standing on the terrace, looking out at the view. "Your house is beautiful," he said, coming up behind her. "But it's not a home," she replied, leaning back against him as he wrapped his arms around her waist. "Not really. Not until now, with you two here." Warren rested his chin on her shoulder. "Lily, I need to ask you something. This thing between us. Does the money bother you?" She turned in his arms. "Does it bother you?" "Sometimes," he admitted. "I worry that I don't fit in your world, that one day you'll realize I'm not. Enough." "Warren Wilson," Lily said firmly, "you jumped into a raging river to save a stranger. You work 3 jobs to support your daughter. You're the most enough man I've ever known." She cupped his face in her hands. Besides, I've been thinking about purpose, about what really matters. She took a deep breath. I'm considering stepping back from day-to-day operations at my company, taking on a more strategic role, using some of my resources to start a foundation. What kind of foundation? One that helps single parents, she said. With childcare, education, job training, whatever they need to create stability for their families. She smiled shyly. You inspired it, actually. Warren was speechless. Also, Lily continued, I've been thinking about selling this house. It's beautiful, but it's too big, too cold. I'd like something smaller, warmer, a real home. For you, Warren asked, his heart suddenly racing. For us, she whispered, if you want that. 6 months to the day after Warren pulled Lily from the river, he proposed to her on the banks of that same waterway, not at the dangerous spot where she'd fallen in, but at a peaceful bend further upstream where the water flowed gently and wildflowers dotted the shore. Are you sure? He asked as she wiped away tears, the simple solitaire diamond catching the sunlight. Your world is so different from mine. Our worlds, she corrected him, are exactly where they're supposed to be merging together. She kissed him, then looked over to where Mia was carefully arranging the picnic Lily had packed. The three of us, we're already a family. This just makes it official. They married in a small ceremony in the city park where they'd had their first picnic together. Lily wore a simple ivory dress, and Mia, serving as flower girl, wore a matching one. Warren, in a new suit that Lily had insisted on buying him despite his protests, waited at the front with his best friend from the warehouse as his best man. Their honeymoon was a family affair, a week at a beachfront cottage where Mia built sandcastles while Warren and Lily took long walks along the shore, planning their future together. True to her word, Lily sold her glass house and stepped back from her company's daily operations. They bought a comfortable 4-bedroom home in a good school district, halfway between Warren's warehouse job and Lily's office. Lily transformed one of the bedrooms into a home office, where she divided her time between consulting for her company and developing her foundation. Warren, with Lily's encouragement, went back to school part-time to finish the engineering degree he'd abandoned when Maria got sick. He kept working at the warehouse, refusing Lily's offer to support them entirely. It's about more than money, he explained. It's about showing Mia the value of work, of finishing what you start. Lily understood. It was one of the countless things she loved about him. The Lily Calloway Foundation officially launched 6 months after their wedding, focusing specifically on helping single parents access childcare, education, and housing assistance. Warren served on the board alongside Lily, bringing his first-hand experience to the foundation's mission. A year after they married, they added to their family a baby boy they named Michael, after Lily's brother. The day they brought him home from the hospital, Mia solemnly promised to be the best big sister ever. That night, with Mia finally asleep after the excitement of meeting her new brother and baby Michael peacefully dozing in the bassinet next to their bed, Warren pulled Lily close. Happy? He asked, kissing her forehead. Complete, she replied. Who would have thought that falling into a river would lead to all this? I'm just glad I was there to catch you, Warren said. Lily smiled up at him in the darkness. You've been catching me ever since. On Michael's first birthday, they returned to the river not to mourn, but to celebrate. They stood together at the spot where Warren had pulled Lily from the water, now with 8-year-old Mia holding her baby brother as he babbled happily. I used to come here with such heaviness, Lily said, taking Warren's hand. Now it feels like a place of beginning, not ending. Warren squeezed her hand. Life has a way of washing away the pain eventually. Like the river, Lily agreed. Always flowing, always changing, but ultimately leading home. As they walked back toward their car, the late afternoon sun turning the water to gold, Warren reflected on the strange twists of fate that had brought them together. A struggling single father and a lonely millionaire, both drowning in their own ways until they saved each other. Mia ran ahead with Michael toddling after her, both children laughing in the sunlight. Warren wrapped his arm around Lily's shoulders, pulling her close against his side. "I love our life," he said simply. Lily smiled up at him, the sadness that had once haunted her eyes long gone. "Our beautiful, messy, perfect life." They stood for a moment longer, watching their children play against the backdrop of the river that had nearly taken everything, but had ultimately given them something even more precious: each other.